So people are still coming. We have to wait a little bit more.
Μπάντε,
Ναι.
να τους πούμε αυτό 3 φορές που λένε όταν ξεκινάνε, επειδή αυτοί είναι βουδιστές. Δεν ξέρω, όταν πριν ξεκινήσουμε.
Εντάξει, εγώ μπορεί να ξεκινήσω κατά αυτόν τον τρόπο.
Ναι, γιατί είναι βουδιστές αυτοί.
Ναι. Δηλαδή θα περιμένουμε μέχρι τις 2 και 4.
Όχι, και 10 μπορούμε να ξεκινήσουμε.
Ναι. We're going to wait 3 minutes more. So, ναι, τι πράγμα?
Ναι, 3 minutes. Uh, 38 people online, 39. Forty people.
One more minute is remaining.
Να τους εξηγήσω λιγάκι τι είναι το κέντρο μας για να ξέρουν έτσι κάποια πράγματα πριν ξεκινήσουμε.
Κάνα 2-3 πράγματα μπορεί να τους πείτε, αν θέλετε.
I would like to talk to you before we start about the Athens Theravada Centre, which is based in Athens, Greece. This is an initiative from the Sri Lankan community here in Athens. Bante Ratana helped a lot to expand this to the Greek people, and a non-profit organization was created for the purpose of offering Dhamma to the Greek people initially. And we have a center. At the moment, this center has 3 monks, resident monks. They're living there. There is a temple and administration office. So, because of the coronavirus, we closed down the center for visitors. So, to protect the monks, and actually there's one Sri Lanka man living with them, layman, who takes care of the monks, offering food, preparing the food. So we thought to start this Zoom online meditation course for the Greek people initially, who were used to come and visit the center. And that was quite successful, because in the center we can have only 20-25 people in the temple. There is no more space. But with Zoom, we have sessions with 200 or even 300 people. And after the Greek people, because we saw it's a lot of people coming in and to listen to these Dhamma teachings, especially for meditation, we decided to open it up for Europe. So we start lessons every Thursday and every Friday for the European people in Europe. They come from Sweden, Italy, Poland, 27 countries. And this is a quite big group. And then I had an idea with Bante, maybe we can offer these teachings to Asian people, people who live in Asia. So this is the first time we do it. I hope you will find it interesting. I hope you will find some, perhaps, a different kind of information. Bante lived in Sri Lanka for, I know, if you read the text we had in Zoom, for 38 years in the monasteries, and 3 years he lived in Myanmar. So I think it's time to start. 46 people online. Bante?
Yes, welcome for everybody here. Good evening. So we're going to present today the mindfulness of breathing meditation, Anapanasati, as was taught in Satipatthana Sutta and Anapana Sutta from the Buddha himself. So, and also metta meditation. There are both meditations are samatha meditations, means serenity meditation, to achieve concentration and calmness of the mind. So the Buddha praised these meditations a lot, therefore they become very popular. So we're going to teach this, and we're going to present this teaching through a PowerPoint presentation, because many people find it easy to have a visual understanding, and it's easy for them to follow. Therefore, now we'll spend some time explaining this in PowerPoint presentation. So as much as possible, as clear as possible, for you also to have a visual, let's call perception of how these things should be followed, how to practice Anapanasati and metta meditation. So, and then we're going to start with it. Any time we are going to teach this. So for any question you have, you can raise your hand. As I told you, you can go down the Zoom screen. There are small icons. If you put with arrow or with your finger, you can see small icons like a microphone, the chat. And in the end, there is a small face which states reactions. If you click to it, there is a hand coming up which shows like that. with a palm. This shows that you want to ask a question. There is another one, which is a thumb up. That means you agree with something. But for questions, you can raise this hand. So, and another option is you can go to the chat box and type a text, in which we can type your question. And as a last resort, of course, you can raise your physical hand, so you can see that you can actually open your microphone and you can talk. So then, for the time being, we are going to present this PowerPoint presentation. So instead of just for you to hear this teaching in audio form, we have a visual form also. So this will be recorded. Those who want to request for the recording, it is free. You can take it everything free. So, okay, now I will share my screen and for you to have the visual understanding also in PowerPoint presentation form. So I hope you can see the slide, the first slide of this PowerPoint presentation. It says mindfulness of breathing meditation, Anapanasati. So this is a meditation which the Buddha practiced before his enlightenment. It was the basis for his enlightenment. We know that the first watch of the night, he spent it he started with his meditation. After, of course, in the end of the last watch of the night, he developed Vipassana and he attained Buddhahood. Therefore, that was the Anapanasati was the basis of his, how to start his concentration. And he praised this kind of concentration in many suttas. That's why we have here, for example, what the Buddha tells about this meditation. This is called, this concentration, samadhi, he tells, through mindfulness of breathing, when developed and practiced much, is both peaceful and sublime. It is an unadulterated, blissful abiding, and it banishes and steals evil, unwholesome thoughts as soon as they arise. And the Buddha praised it and give very gradual instructions how to practice this meditation. We are going to explain this, how he explains this step by step. So, and he also tells about this mind. He explains how this mind is, by practice meditation, it will be easy to tame it. Therefore, he says, this flickering, unsteady mind, difficult to guard, difficult to tame, the wise person strengthens it as a fletcher strengthens an arrow. So therefore, he spoke about samadhi. Now, through samadhi, one can strengthen the mind like a fletcher strengthens an arrow. So this is the simile the Buddha gives. We have to strengthen our mind with samadhi. And this is how the Anapanasati helps for that a lot. And he also tells, a tamed mind brings happiness. A person who can tame his mind through concentration is called blissful feelings arise, blissful happiness arise in the mind, which is very helpful also for to practice Vipassana meditation. Because as we know, Samatha meditation in Buddhism, it just is not the end. It's just for to tame the mind, to concentrate the mind, to strengthen the mind, to make it straight. So that will be also helpful for Vipassana meditation. Now, our mind, it is, because it gets so much bombarded with so much information, it is fragmented. So therefore now, because we have this kind of fragmented mind, many people, they feel all kind of disappointments in life, frustrations, stress, and so forth. But concentration helps to unify the mind. with samadhi. So if the mind gets unified, so one can have this kind of happy feelings arising and happy, as called very blissful things arising, because all the energy of the mind becomes unified. So this Buddha speaks also about the oneness of the mind, or one-pointedness of the mind, which is called cittasa ekagata. So, and this is also the purpose of samadhi, to achieve this oneness of the mind. So, and oneness of the mind is synonymous with samadhi. So, in order to explain now the Buddha how to practice anapanasati, he first explains the sitting position in his suttas. So he says that a person sits down, folding the legs crosswise, setting the body erect. So these are the three as called points he explains about how to sit. Of course, many people, they might have difficulty to folding the legs crosswise, the way it is shown here in the picture. So therefore now, but he says also setting the body erect. That is very important. If you sit down, you can set your body erect. That means you keep your spine erect. That is a principle in meditation. So therefore now, for those who understand Pali, I give you also the Pali text, how the Buddha explains these things. So then, now this what the Buddha explains here to folding the legs crosswise. It is a full lotus position when both heels are on the thighs. This, of course, for many people, it will be a difficult one. Another option is to have a half lotus position, to place only one heel on the high thigh. So, and then those who have difficulty with this, they can use also this Burmese style, which is to have the both heels a little bit far from the body. So that is also it's called quite easy for many people, but you can see also that the spine is erect, the body is erect. That is very important. So another way it is to sit on a half of cushion. So to lift the body on a cushion, which is also comfortable to sit. But main thing is to strengthen your back. This is important to keep the body erect. So if you place your hands, you can put them in this way. So in a relaxed manner, or in this way, or in this way. It depends on you. So because after you meditate and the mind becomes concentrated, the hands are irrelevant, because some people, after they take deep concentration, they lose the perception of the body, and the body is not so important whether the hands are in whatever position. So you just relax your hands if you like, and so forth. Whatever it is more comfortable for you. So these are unnecessary hand positions. So you can use them, but after some time, if one gets deep concentration, the body becomes so relaxed, you can't keep the fingers tight anymore. So, and it is up to you if you like to do so, all right, but they are not absolutely necessary to attain samadhi. So then, and this is not a suitable posture. And other suitable postures are to sit on a stool, on a seiza, that means on a big cushion, or on a chair. But in every case here, you can see that the spine is erect. That is very important in order to follow the breath, the natural flow of the breath. So, and then the Buddha is going to explain about mindfulness of breathing after explaining the posture, how to watch the breath. And here the explanation he gives, it is mindfulness of breathing as serenity, samatha meditation. So then to do so, he first says where to place the attention. What is the place of observing the breath? So therefore now he is going to give the explanation where the meditator has to observe the breath. He says, establishing mindfulness at parimukha, which means around or near the face or mouth. Here it is a Pali text for those who understand. So, and what is Parimukha? Now, Pari means around, Mukha means face or mouth, can be called. There are two meanings. If you check in the Pali dictionaries, these are the two meanings. And we're going to explain this, what other canonical books explain about this, what is Parimukha. So here it is one explanation from a canonical book. It says, this mindfulness is established, well established at the nose tip or at the mark of the mouth. Hence, it is said establishing mindfulness at Parimukha. This comes from Vibhanga Pali. It's called Jhana Vibhanga, which explains how to attain jhanas. So, and here it is, Parimukha means at the nose tip or mark of the mouth. Now, the mark of the mouth, according to the commentary, it is the upper lip, where the air strikes on the upper lip, because some people who have short nose, they can feel the breath on the upper lip. Those who have normal nose, they can feel it on the nose tip. This is how also the Buddha does not tell the nose, because if he tells for the nose, some people have short nose, they might not be able to feel the breath. It's called, but those who have normal breath, of course, normal nose, of course, it is easy. But in order to give the room for others also to practice Anapanasati, the Buddha put in front of your face. What is in front of our face? It's the nose. All this area is in front of our face. So, and that for now, it is actually these two places, either it is the nose tip or the mark of the mouth, which is the upper lip, as the commentary tells. So, in this way, there is another canonical book who explains. In this way, he sits down by establishing mindfulness at the nose tip or at the mark of the mouth, which is the upper lip. This information comes from Patisamedamagga. Excuse me. Yes, this comes from Patisamedamagga, and he tells this book also tells, he does not give attention to the in-breaths coming inside the body or outside, out-breaths going outside the body. So what Patisamedamagga says, it is one keeps the attention here in the nose tip or in the upper lip, does not give attention for the breath which goes down the throat, in the lungs, in the belly. In the same way, if the breath comes out of the body, does not give attention to the breath which goes outside the nose. Where did, I should not speculate, where did my breath go? So he just establishes one's attention to the nose of the tip, where the air strikes the nostrils, or on the upper lip. So now, if one follows the inhaling air inside the body as it travels in different bodily parts, one will be then practicing elements meditation in regard to the air element, Vayu Dhatu, but not mindfulness of breathing. So even so, by meditating on the air element, one doesn't even practice elements meditation fully, because it is required to meditate on the other three elements, solid, liquid, heat element as well, and to see their correlation. Therefore, it can't be said that one either practices mindfulness of breathing correctly or elements meditation correctly. So therefore now you try to keep your attention to the tip of the nose. If you follow inside your body, you just practice, you see the air element which travels in other parts of the body. You are supposed to practice elements meditation. But even so, in order to practice elements meditation correctly, you have to see also the solid element, what is called the liquid element, and also the heat element. Then only you can practice elements meditation correctly. By seeing only the wind element is not enough. So then in order to avoid all this confusion, the Buddha says to establish on mindfulness at the Parimukha. Hence, the Buddha advises in regard to mindfulness of breathing, let your mindfulness of breathing be well established in one's own person at Parimokha. When mindfulness of breathing is well established in one's person at Parimokha, any inclinations for outward and vexing thoughts cease to exist. So this is what the Buddha says, and he tells to establish the breath. Now, this it's called the mindfulness at the Parimokha. Now, the verb Parimokha indicates the placing and fixing of one's mindfulness at Parimokha, implying thus of not moving it either hither and thither, or onwards and backwards to any other place. So the opposite of establish is disestablish, displace, change, move, remove, etc., which is not the case in Anapanasati Samadhi. Therefore, you establish your mindfulness at the tip of your nose where the air strikes the nostrils, or at the upper lip if in case you feel the breath in the upper lip. Observe the natural flow of your breath, of your in-breath and out-breath at the nostrils or at the upper lip. So therefore now, even in the out-breath, you use this area of the nose to concentrate your, your mind. Do not give attention to the in-breaths going inside the body or to the out-breaths going outside the body. So that is how to establish. Therefore now the verb establishing means one does not move one's attention to other places except in Parimokha, which we have explained at the tip of the nose, or the air strikes the nostrils, or at the upper lip. So now the Buddha, after explaining the postures, after explaining the place where one should establish one's attention, so he gives the first step how to observe the breath now. So then the Buddha says, ever mindful one breathes in, ever mindful one breathes out. So therefore now he tells for every in-breath and out-breath, one should be mindful. This is the Pali text for those who understand Pali. So then, therefore, you ever mindful breathe in, ever mindful breathe out. Do so for about 5 minutes to be familiar with the breath. So for every in-breath, you mentally note in-breath. For every out-breath, you mentally note out-breath. These words are very important to use them so that the mind will be trained to remember what it has to do. So therefore now you have to use certain words. If you feel the in-breath, you mentally note in-breath. If you feel the out-breath, you mentally note out-breath. You use these words not to remind the mind. Otherwise, the mind does not know what to do. So do not use your eyes to pay attention to the breath because there is nothing there to see, it's just the air. And this air has no color, no shape. So try to focus where? Pay attention to the sensation at the tip of your nose or to the movement of the air. So many people, they find it easy to pay attention to the sensation around the nose because if the air strikes, they can feel it. They feel how the air moves in the nostrils, and then this sensation helps them to bring the mind and concentrate it. Or at the movement, if you can't feel it, at least you can understand the movement of the air. So the air which comes in is in-breath, the air which comes out is out-breath, and you mentally note in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. Now in this case, we don't use any other words which are irrelevant without breathing. So we use words which are very relevant with experience of the in-breath and out-breath. When thoughts or feelings distract you, ignore them. we don't try to push away to do this, to push away these thoughts, to fight these thoughts. It is simply we ignore them, we just keep them, because the mind does not stop all the time as something to think. It is the inner chatter of the mind. So we try to ignore them. In this case, you come back to the sensation of your breath or to the movement of the breath. That means you try to keep your attention to the nostrils where the air strikes the breath and feel the sensation or the movement of the breath. Therefore, mentally note in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. So that is the first step, how to know the in breath, the out breath. So, and then the Buddha is going to explain now the second step. The Buddha says, when one breathes in long, one understands I breathe in long. So this is long in breath, because sometimes we have long in breath, sometimes short in breaths. So if it is long in breath, we mentally note long in breath. So, and then he says, when one breathes out long, one understands I breathe out long. Means long out breath. Sometimes if we understand that it's long out breath, we mentally note long out breath. Here it is the Pali text for those who understand Pali. So the second step is, that means what you have to do is, when you breathe in long, understand I breathe in long. Therefore, now we have long in breath, you mentally note not long in breath. So when you breathe out long, you understand I breathe out long. Long out breath, you mentally note long out breath. So now long means it is long time duration. So it is the duration, is not the inches, how many inches our breath goes in and out. It is about the time duration. So sometimes we breathe short. If you just feel the breath little, that means a short breath. But if you feel it for for a while, then it is, you can call it long time duration. This long in breath and long out breath. So now this second step, it is for us to see more details. The first step we have seen only grossly. In breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. But we don't know how long it lasts. Here we're going to see the time. How long does this in breath last and how long does the out breath last? That's why if it is lastly be long, we can call it long in breath or long out breath. So again, in the second step, the Buddha says, when one breathes in short, one understands I breathe in short. Means short in breath, you have to mentally note short in breath. So again, when one breathes out short, one understands I breathe out short. Long out breath, so you can understand is long out breath. This is the Pali text for those who understand Pali. So therefore now, what you have to practice here, when you breathe in short, understand I breathe in short. Short in breath, you mentally note short in breath. So when you breathe out short, understand I breathe out short. That means short out breath, you mentally note short out breath. So here time it is short time duration. This time it is when you just feel the breath very quickly coming in, very quickly coming out. That is very short time duration. You just note it. Therefore now in this step also we want to see the more details, not like the first step. When we see in breath, out breath, now we want to notice something more. When the breath is long, we tell long. When the breath is short, we tell short. We don't tell both. So that depends. We can do it about 2-3 minutes to understand this duration time, to be familiar with that. So now the Buddha is going to explain the third step. And he says, one trains thus, I shall breathe in, experience the whole breath body. So that is the whole in breath. So because in the first step, we told one in breath, out breath, but we don't know exactly when it starts, when it stops, the in breath and out breath. Now we try to here to see the whole in-breath from the beginning to the end. So, and then the third step, he says again, on trains thus, I shall breathe out, experience the whole breath body. Means the whole out breath. Those who understand Pali, this is the Pali text here. But there is one word, if you note in the Pali text, it says sabbakaya. Kaya. What means kaya? Why the Buddha tells sabbakaya? Means kaya, it is translated as body. So sabba means whole. So now we're going to see the meaning of the whole body. Because the Buddha explained this term in another sutta, which is called Anapanasati Sutta. He gives this explanation what means kaya in this body. It is not the physical body with flesh and bones, but it is the breath, as we're going to see. So now the meaning of the whole body, especially the body and so forth, we can find it in another sutta. So the definition of kaya in this context is given by the Buddha thus. I say that this is a certain body, kaya, among the bodies, namely the in-breath and out-breath. Now, we understand here this body is actually the in-breath and out-breath. It is in metaphorical way, not in our physical body with flesh and bones. It is actually this in-breath and out-breath in metaphorical sense as a group, as a bulk. To say like that. Therefore, sabbakaya means in this context the whole bodily process of the in-breaths and out-breaths. And kaya is used in a metaphorical sense. It is said so because the meditator at this step begins to lose the perception of the physical body and starts to perceive the whole breath as a body, namely as a bulk or mass of air. So therefore now, if the meditator sees the breath again and again, ultimately he loses the perception of the body, of this physical body, and only the breath remains in front of him. So that's why he sees as a bulk, this bulk of the air coming in, coming out from the nose. That is like a moving body. Body means in the sense as a mass of air, as a bulk. So therefore, no, this body is not the body of flesh and bones or any other parts of the body. It is only the breath in front of the parimukha. So therefore, now you also try to experience the whole in-breath at the tip of your nose. So for when you feel the whole in-breath, you mentally not whole in-breath. So try to experience the whole out-breath at the tip of your nose. When you feel the whole out-breath, you mentally not whole out-breath. So, and this whole breath body, it is actually the parimukha, what is a touching point. So, and now the commentaries also explained very clearly what is means whole. Now, in this case now, whole means beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So now, if you see only the beginning of the breath, you have seen only part of the breath. You have not seen the whole thing. If you see only the middle, you have seen only part of the breath. You have not seen the whole breath. If you see only the end of the breath, you have seen only part of the breath. You have not seen the whole breath. Therefore, if you see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath, then you have seen the whole breath. So now, this touching point, it is where it's called the meditator can feel all these 3 points. So he does not need to change his attention, because when the breath strikes the nostril, that is the beginning. When it continues striking the nostril, the same point, touching point, is the middle. When it stopped touching it's called the touching point, is the end. The same way, how the out breath exceeds, then it strikes the touching point. That is the beginning. When it continues is the middle. When it stops touching the touching point is the end. So therefore, this whole breath can be observed at the touching point when the air strikes the nostril. Here I will give an example with a violin player. Now, if you see the eyes of this violin player, his attention is at the touching point where the bow strikes the chords. So here's his attention here. He does not give attention where at the end of the bow, when the bow goes up or goes down. He concentrates in this very area of the touching point. In the same way, the meditator, he concentrates at the touching point when the breath strikes the nostrils. And there he can see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So after explaining what means the whole breath, now we're going to explain what is part of the breath. Part of the breath means the meditator can see only the beginning of the breath, or only the middle, or only the end. But he does not see the whole breath. So, or he can see the beginning and middle, the middle and end, and beginning and end. Therefore, he does not see the whole breath. But if he sees the beginning, middle, and end, that is the whole breath. So therefore now, if you have difficulty to see the whole breath, you can use these words, beginning, middle, and end of the breath, of the in-breath, and begin, middle, and end of the out-breath. So if you, so start with beginning. Start to see the beginning of the breath, and mentally note beginning, and then see the end of the in-breath. So, and mentally note beginning, end. So in this way, for the beginning and end of the out-breath, start seeing the beginning and end of the out-breath, and mentally note beginning, end. So these are the two words. If you use, slowly, you can see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. You don't see a part of it. So therefore, slowly try to see also beginning, middle, and end of the breath later on. So if you can achieve, you can see more details. Therefore, because now this practice is to see from gross, from the first step, which is gross, to go to the second step to see the time, how long time, and after to see also that the whole breath means more details, the beginning, middle, of the end. We go from the gross to the subtle. So therefore, in this case, you mentally note beginning, middle, end of the breath. You don't need to repeat of the breath again. Just you can tell scroll for the in breath, beginning, middle, and end, and for the out breath, beginning, middle, and end. So after you train like that, you just skip these words. You don't need to use these words all the time. This is just for training, for you to be familiar with the breath. After the mind becomes calm, it is easy to follow the breath. You can skip these words. These words are just for as a start to it's called to familiarize the mind. It's called to train the mind. After the mind gets trained, then it knows by itself what it has to watch. Therefore, you can skip these words later. So for the out breath also, you can also mentally note beginning, middle, and end for the out breath. Try to see beginning, middle, and end of the out breath. So now, after explaining the third step, the Buddha is going to explain now the fourth step. So the Buddha says, one trains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, kaya sankara, I shall breathe in. One trains thus, tranquilizing the bodily process of breath, kaya sankara, I shall breathe out. This means that even though the process of breath may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing, one should not stop watching it, but continue paying attention to the in and out breath. Because some meditators, if the breath becomes very calm, very nice, they think, oh, now enough. That's called. No, that is not the case. The Buddha tells one should train oneself and watch the breath again and again. So now the Buddha used the word here and word which is called kaya sankara. The meaning is it's called bodily process. And what is the meaning of this bodily process? So the definition of kaya sankara is given in the suttas thus. Here it says, in-breaths and out-breaths are a bodily process, kaya sankaro. These states are bodily, are bound up with the body. That is why in-breaths and out-breaths are a bodily process. Therefore, this bodily process is nothing else but the in and out breath, in breaths and out breaths. This is the Pali text for those who understand it. This is also the reference of the sutta. It's called Chula Vedala Sutta and also Sanyutta Nikaya Dutya Kamabu Sutta. So therefore, now Kaya Sankara is there's the in breath and out breath. It's nothing to do with Kaya. Also does not mean here that our body with bones and flesh. It is actually the in breath and out breath. So again, in another canonical book, it says, what is the bodily process? Kaya Sankaro. Long in breaths, long out breaths. Short in breath, short out breaths are bodily. These states are bound up with the body and are bodily processes. Kaya Sankara. This information comes from Patisamhita. Here's the Pali text for those who understand it. Therefore, one should continue watching the natural bodily process of the in and out breath at Parimukha, even though it may become tranquil, calm, quiet, serene, and relaxing. One should go ahead and watching it, not to think now I'm serene, quiet, my breath maybe stopped. No, it does not stop. If you continue watching it, you can see the whole bodily process of the in and out breath. So now this is a kind of, the Buddha taught this method. It is experiential method. You can feel the breath. You can actually have the whole empirical experience of the breath. And many people find it easy to concentrate by feeling the breath, feeling the movement of the breath. So, but if some distracting thoughts come during meditating with this method, so some thoughts who are coming and because the mind is restless, so there is another method which I will suggest, that is a counting method. This counting method, of course, it is against distracting thoughts and feelings. It is recommended by Visuddhimagga or some other books if you have read. And some people find it easy to start with counting method if there are distracting thoughts. So, and afterwards return in the method what the Buddha taught, which is more empirical, has to do with the feeling and so forth, without using any numbers. Therefore, now for those people who have some distracting thoughts coming, they have difficulty concentrating because the mind is restless, this method may help. And from experience of some meditators, they find it also easy, because some meditators told me, yes, it helps me to calm down the mind in a more better way. And after, they can go and observe the feeling of the breath and the movement of the breath. So now this is a simple method here. It is not complicated. Now for those who are good in arithmetic, mathematics, it is just a play. So, but for other people also, it is not complicated. Now it is simple way. So, and this can be used if there are sometimes distracting thoughts or feelings. You may try the following counting method to focus the mind to the breath. So this is one counting method. Now, if you, for example, inhale the in breath and then out breath, you mentally note 1. Therefore, at the end of the out breath, you tell 1, mentally note it. So, and then there is in breath, out breath, you mentally note 2. So in breath, out breath, you mentally note 3. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 4. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 5. You go up to 5 and you can start up to from 1. If you miss a number, means you fail to count a number, you go again back to 1. Therefore, now this method is in breath, out breath, mentally note 1. Again, in breath, out breath, you mentally note 2. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 3. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 4. In breath, out breath, you mentally note 5. You go up to 5 and you can start from 1. So at the end of the out breath, you just tell the number. 1 or 3. Now, if you fail 1, for example, you don't remember. Excuse me. So if you don't remember, it is 2, 3, and the next you forget 4, 5. What you do is you go back to 1. So, and this is easy to catch the mind, because if you forget one number, that means you become aware that the mind is gone. So you try to bring it back again. So that is why it is easy for some people, because they catch the mind. Then when they forget the number, they know, okay, the mind is gone. Therefore, they try to bring it back. So therefore, try to complete up to 5 and then start again from 1. Now, in summary, this is the whole counting. In breath, out, breath 1, that is first round. In breath, out, breath 2, that is second round. In breath, out, breath 3, that is third round. In breath, out, breath 4, that is fourth round. In breath, out, breath 5, that is the fifth round. And then you can start again from the first round. So, of course, after you get tired counting and the mind becomes calm, you can return to the first method, what you have taught, to experience the whole breath. Because with this method, you don't see much details. You do it in a gross way. You can't see many details if you put numbers there. You can't see the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. You can't see the whole breath. So, but it is still useful to remove distracting thoughts. So if, of course, these distracting thoughts are very tough, they don't go, then there is another counting method I can tell you for those who want to use it. So as I have written here, if, however, the distracting thoughts or feelings persist and are tough, you may try the following tougher counting method by repeating the same number for the in-breath and out-breath. Now, this method is also simple. Only you repeat the same number for this for the in-breath and out-breath. Here we can show it. Here, in-breath, you mentally note 1. Out-breath, you mentally note 1. You don't change the number. You put the same number for the in-breath and out-breath. Now, because you repeat the same number, it is easy not to forget the number. Again, in-breath, you mentally note 1, 2. Excuse me. Out-breath, you mentally note 2. So again, in-breath, you mentally note 3. Out-breath, you mentally note 3. Again, in-breath, you mentally note 4. Out-breath, you mentally note 4. Here 4. You can see for the in-breath, you put 4. That means for the out-breath, you also put 4. Again, in-breath, you mentally note 5. Out-breath, for the you mentally note 5. So they can see for the in-breath, if you put 5, then for the out-breath, also you put 5. So by repeating the same number, you don't forget the number very easily. So now, in summary, this method is in-breath, mentally note 1, out-breath, mentally note 2, and then in-breath, you mentally note 2, out-breath, you mentally note 2, in-breath, mentally note 3, out-breath, you mentally note 3, in-breath 4, out-breath 4, in-breath 5, out-breath 5. You go up to 5 and return back to 1. So this is another summary which I can give you to see it more clearly. So in breath 1, out breath 1, that is the first round. In breath 2, out breath 2, that is the second round. In breath 3, out breath 3, that is the third round. In breath 4, out breath 4, this is fourth round. In breath 5, out breath 5, that is fifth round. So after you practice this and the mind becomes calm and you get tired of counting, so then you can go back to the to see the whole breath. That means which is to see more details, because this counting method is in a very gross way how to see the breath. So that is just to occupy the mind with numbers. So, and then because it is a sequence, you have to keep a sequence. From 1, you have to go to 2, to 3, to 3, to 4, and to 5. So then the mind tries to remember the numbers and also the breaths, and it can concentrate. So after it becomes calm, you can go to see the whole breath. So therefore now, when the mind comes down, you may return to experience the whole breath. And the whole breath, as we told, you go to the touching point and try to understand the beginning, middle, and end of the breath. And you mentally note beginning, middle, end. So for the in and out breath. So then you can see more details. There it is where the concentration becomes more powerful. So if one continues so and the concentration increases, the sign of concentration may appear. Now we're going to see about Samadhi Nimitta, which many meditators have experienced it. Of course, in the suttas, there is called reference about the Samadhi Nimitta several times. And this Samadhi Nimitta appears like a light in front of the meditator. It is connected with the breath if the concentration increases very much. So a kind of light appears, which is an indication that the concentration has reached some maturity. So now this is what Samadhi Nimitta or Nimitta, although some people have doubt from where it comes. We have to spend some time to see that this comes from the Buddha himself. It occurs many times in the Tipitaka. We're going to see some references here. Now the word Nimitta and Samadhi Nimitta or Samatha Nimitta are words the Buddha used. Samadhi Nimitta, this word occurs about 25 times in the Sutta Pitaka and refers to various Samatha and Vipassana meditations depending on the context. And Samatha Nimitta, this word occurs 11 times in the Sutta Pitaka and refers to Samatha meditation. So now you have a Sutta, for example, when the Buddha uses it. He says there is the sign of serenity meditation, Samatha Nimitta. Frequently giving careful attention to it is the nutriment for the enlightenment factor of concentration. So now this kind of sign of serenity, which is Samatha Nimitta, it is explained by the commentaries, sub-commentaries. It says it's serenity itself, Samatopi, as well as the object, Aramanampi, that is the Patipaga Nimitta, or counterpart sign. Now, according to the commentaries, there are three types of Nimitta. Preparatory sign, which is called Parikama Nimitta. So another sign is called acquired sign, which is Ugga Nimitta, and another sign is called counterpart sign, which is Patibaga Nimitta. So we're going to explain about these nimittas because it's very important for those who go to very advanced concentration. But the meanings of nimitta is a sign, a mark, an image, a mental image, reflex image. So now we're going to explain what is preparatory sign, Parikama Nimitta. Preparatory sign, Parikama Nimitta, it is what the Buddha says, establishing mindfulness at Parimukha. If we establish it's called mindfulness at the tip of the nose, for example, you can feel the breath. You can have the sensation of the movement of the breath. This is a kind of sign that the breath goes in, goes out, goes in, goes out. This on the tip of the nose, you can feel it. Now, this feeling or this movement of the breath, it is a kind of sign that something moves there. So that is what the Buddha gives the, starts to say the meditator, just establish your mindfulness at Parimukha. This to see this sign, as called to understand the movement of the breath or the sensation of the breath. So, and then a quiet sign is the still unsteady image which arises when the mind has reached a high degree of concentration. Now, this light appears in the meditation mind because after the energy of the mind concentrates strongly in front of the meditator's face, so one can see this light appearing, which is the product of samadhi. So, but this is still a weak light. If the meditator gives attention to it, that this light disappears. The reason is because his concentration drops, becomes weak. So that's why this light also disappears. But if the meditator concentrates on the tip of the nose and increase his concentration, this light also appears. Therefore, this is called, it is a product of concentration. We're going to explain about this light, how it appears later. So now, and then there is another sign which is called counterpart sign, which is called Patibaga Nimitta. an entirely clear and immovable image arising at a much higher degree of concentration. So this light becomes more powerful the more the concentration increases, and it covers the whole face of the meditator. So actually this light comes like a friend to help the meditator to see more detail. It's like you have a torch in front of you, so you can see more details of the breath. You can see minutely how this breath comes like a small waves. It's called inside, it's called the nose, and how it comes out of the nose like a small waves. Becomes very clear. In that moment, the mind has no time to think anything else. His vitaka or vichara and so forth remains only with the breath. So because of this light which gives shade, it's like a torch which comes and helps the meditator to see more details. So soon after this image arises, the stage of access concentration, which is called upachara samadhi, is reached. So that is the time when the meditator experiences very blissful states. So because of this patibhaga nimitta, and his mind becomes very close to jhana. So, and if he continues concentrating on the breath, so the mind may sink to this light, and then he can attain the jhana. So now one has to, before going about explain the jhana, so I want to explain here that because this is a powerful samadhi and this light appears, sometimes the breath becomes less and less, and the meditator sometimes may not feel the breath for half a minute. So in that case, he can put his attention to this light, because by keeping his attention to the light, so he can still maintain his concentration. When the breath remains, he can return back to the breath. So that is occasionally this happens. It does not happen all the time. But in case the breath, because the tranquility of the breath is so deep, sometimes it stops for half an hour. The body does not need to take oxygen for half an hour, for half a minute. For half a minute, so does not need to take any inhalation and exhalation. So it stops. So in that case, now the meditator can move his attention to this light, and after 30 minutes, the breath returns. He can go back and observe the breath. So for in-breath and out-breath, he can do that. Whenever the in-breath is not there, he can put his attention to the to this light, and then if the in-breath returns, he can return it to his in-breath. With the out-breath the same, if the out-breath stops, while going out, if the out-breath stops, it might need about 30 minutes to return. In this gap, the meditator brings his mind to this light, and when the in-breath returns, he can go back to the in-breath. In this way now, he has 3 points: in-breath, the nimitta, out-breath, the nimitta, and so forth. By doing so, there is a moment when the mind sinks into this light. And for this sinking itself, it is the attainment of the jhana, the third jhana, which is called the full absorption. So this it is the first experience of jhana, which is called sometimes ecstasy or like that, but it is a very blissful experience. So the meditator can stay depending on his concentration for a longer time, and he practice this attainment again and again to attain the jhana, and he can stay longer and longer and longer. After, of course, he can go and attain the second jhana, the third jhana, and the fourth jhana. So now regarding this bright sign or the light which appears during the during this anapanasati meditation. So the bright sign varies depending on the meditator. For some, it is a bright light, such as the morning star, or a bright ruby, a gemstone, or a bright pearl. For others, it is like a moon or a sun. So this difference is because some meditators have different perception. Now, for example, if we have the light in a prisma, this is white light. If it strikes the prisma, you have the rainbow colors here. It depends from which angle you see the prisma. So then you can see different colors. So therefore now the meditators with different perception, they might have different colors of these nimittas. So, but it doesn't matter, all these colors and so forth, because they are bright, they help the meditator to concentrate on the breath. And it is like a torch in front of the meditator, which helps him to see more details of the breath. So, but slowly, slowly, this light become white, become very transparent. So, and then in the time of jhana, it is almost the same for everybody. Now, this light is the product of intense mental concentration. It does not happen from any external source. It does not come outside us. It comes from the intense mental concentration. It is just photons that appear in the meditator's mind due to the condensation of electromagnetic waves that exist in our bodies. So it is like photons because our body has electromagnetism, and we know that. And if the power of concentration becomes very condensed, it can produce this kind of photons in our body, which the meditator can see in front of him. So now you have the electromagnetic spectrum, and if the waves are very, very fast, traveling very fast, they become very condensed and produce the rainbow color. So therefore, you have this condensation of electromagnetic waves because of mental concentration. So if the mental concentration becomes very strong, then all these electromagnetic waves in the brain, in the heart, and so forth, they become very condensed, and they produce a certain light, which are photons. There is nothing in mystery. There is nothing mystic there. Our body has electromagnetism. Our scientists, they could take photographs. This is called Kirlian photography. Our body emits this kind of electromagnetic waves. But not only our body, plants also have this kind of electromagnetism. Can be seen in this photograph. What is basically recorded in Kirlian photography are the very natural phenomena in our body, such as pressure, electric grounding, humidity, and temperature. Changes in humidity, which sometimes reflect changes in emotions, barometric pressure, electric voltage, among many others, will produce different auras. Now, some people, they misinterpret this kind of light. There are misinterpretations of light by mystics. We're going to see that many words are used for this light, which are completely out of what scientists say, at least. It has nothing to do with, because they try to mystify this light. If they see it, they think that they call it the immortal, pure light of infinite consciousness, the cosmic light, the cosmic consciousness, the cosmic energy, God, and God's grace, and the union of man with the divine enlightenment, the infinite ego, the soul, the spirit, Brahma or his grace, Bodhisattva or his grace. There are many names. It depends on the background. Anybody comes, they give different names. But if one observes this light, it is just plain photons which arise because of this intense concentration, and they produce this kind of electromagnetic waves, which turn into photons. That's why the meditators see this light in front of him. There is nothing mystic there. We don't need to mystify it, especially with Vipassana meditation. It's very easy to understand from where this light comes. So therefore, now in Theravada Buddhism, we know that there is not something like that, infinite ego and soul and spirit and divine things and like that. So, or even enlightenment. This is not enlightenment. By looking some light in front of you, that means you have become enlightened. So therefore now, this can be, as I told you, if one practices Vipassana meditation, one can just get rid of these delusions and see that this is just a natural phenomenon. This light is a very natural phenomenon. So now we've explained up to now Anapanasati to certain quite detailed way. So because we have intention to teach today metta meditation, we spend some time teaching about metta meditation. The reason is because some people have difficulty practicing anapanasati due to the negative emotions they carry from for a long time with them, like anger, hate, hatred, jealousy, stress, and sorrow for whatever reason. And if you tell them to concentrate on the breath, it's difficult for them because they have this kind of burden of negative emotions, which becomes an obstacle for them to concentrate on the breath. Therefore, today we're going to teach metta meditation on friendliness, on metta meditation. So then for those who probably have this kind of negative emotions, how to overcome them and to calm the mind so that it will be easy to practice anapanasati. So now metta meditation we have translated as friendliness meditation. We are going to explain why. Metta comes from the word mita, which means mitra in Sanskrit, which means a friend. We know that mitra in Sanskrit is a friend. Mita is also in Pali. Wherever you see dictionaries, it comes from mita. There is no doubt about that. Its really meaning is a disposition of a friend, which the commentary tells mita sebhavo, that is friendliness. It is a friendly disposition, It is a friendly goodwill and wish for the welfare and happiness of all, wishing them, may all beings be well and safe, may they be happy. So something which you can find in Karanayametta Sutta, which the Buddha speaks how to wish all beings to be happy. So it is a friendly goodwill. And the Buddha tells how anger can be abandoned by the development of friendliness. That's why he says, this is the escape from anger, ill will, hate, vyapada, namely the liberation of the mind by friendliness, metta citta vimutti. And he says again, cultivate the meditation of friendliness, for by cultivating the meditation of friendliness, anger disappears. And again he says, there is the liberation of the mind by friendliness, frequently giving wise attention to it. This is the denourishing of the arising anger that has not yet arisen, and of the increase can strengthen of anger that has already arisen. Now, and then we're going to explain that metta does not mean love, because sometimes it translates like that. Some people translate metta as love. It does not mean love. Now, the Pali word for love is pema and piya. In Sanskrit, it's prem and priya. In Sinhala, it's prema. And in Hindi, it's prem and piyar. Now, those who want to learn Hindi, how to tell love in Hindi, you can learn. It's not metta, it is piyar and prem. It has nothing to do with metta. Or maitri, in Sanskrit called maitri. So the word maitri does not occur here. So again, love implies a strong emotion of affection and attachment, which in turn can bring sorrow and fear if that love is not fulfilled. That's why the Buddha says, from love, pema, piya, springs sorrow. From love springs fear. For him who is wholly free from love, there is no sorrow, whence then fear. The same he says about craving, tanha, the origin of existential suffering, dukkha samudaya, making him to understand that love is a form of craving and attachment. So thus he states, from craving, tanha, springs sorrow. From craving springs fear. For him who is wholly free from craving, there is no sorrow, hence then fear. However, instead of love, the Buddha urges his disciples to develop other noble qualities towards oneself and others, which he calls metta, and which means literally means friendliness, or a friendly disposition, and also karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, and upekkha, equanimity. Now we're going to see that metta meditation is the escape of freedom from animosity, hostility, ill feeling, antagonism, and then enmity, malice, resentment, bitterness, antipathy, ill will, anger or hate, fear, sorrow, jealousy, stress, anything we can call negative emotions. Now, if anger comes in the mind, or hate comes in the mind, or fear comes in the mind, sorrow comes in the mind, jealousy comes in the mind, stress comes in the mind, it is good to practice metta meditation. To do so, we can take ourselves as a center of attention and wish ourselves, may I be without anger. If anger is present, if the emotion of anger is present, this is negative emotion, you can concentrate in ourselves, take our body as an object, because we need an object in meditation. Metta is not just a recitation. It is an object, because some people think if you recite just few words, then all this negative emotion will go. So that is the way the Buddha taught to practice metta meditation. There is one method here, as called, this is why you have to take your whole body as an object, because if anger arises, it affects our whole nervous system. So, and we know that some people who feel angry, sometimes the hand is shivering, or some like the body is, it is uneasy. So we can know that it spreads all over our body. So one can take our body as an object and wish ourselves, may I be without anger. By wishing so, we don't try to push away the anger. We just withdraw our mind. Withdraw our mind does not give fuel for this anger to continue. And without anger means to be free from anger. So we try to withdraw our mind by wishing, may I be without this anger, be free from this anger. So by telling this several times, one can see that this anger slowly not having any more fuel, because we don't get entangled with it. You don't get involved with this anger. We withdraw our mind. This anger having no more fuel, having no more support, it drops, it goes away. So that is one way how to get rid of anger. This same emotion of anger, if it is very strong, can be hate. So one can wish, may I be without hate. Or if it is fear, may I be without fear. If it is sorrow, one can wish, may I be without sorrow. If it's jealousy, or may wish, may I be without jealousy. Or as called, if it is stress, one can wish, may I be without stress. These are the negative emotions. So if they arise, one can take oneself as an object and wish itself again and again, may I be without this negative emotion. You can tell in your own language, or in what you can use whatever word you understand it better. So I give you just a model how to to know what are the most common negative emotions. When one can have idea and so forth, use even similar words, synonymous words to identify what is this emotion which troubles oneself. One should identify it and then wish oneself maybe without this negative emotion, by drawing all the attention towards one's body, towards one's presence. So if memories come and one remembers certain episode when he got angry or hate or jealous or have some fear, one can take this oneself again in these memories and wish oneself, may I be without this negative emotion. So either in the present moment or in past moment. So if the memories come, one takes oneself as a center of attention and wish oneself may be without this emotion. Slowly, these emotions not having any more fuel, not having more support, because we draw the mind from them, they disappear, they go away. So if these negative emotions go away, then I can go and wish oneself something very positive oneself. And this is the very positive it is, may I be happy. Because to be happy, it is what most people wish in life. So I don't know whether you know somebody who gets up in the morning and wish, may I be unhappy. No, most of the people unconsciously, means subconsciously, they want to be happy, because they want the day to be well, that everything goes smooth. So in some way, they want to be happy. So therefore now something which is in this word to be happy is something very positive word. It has so very positive meanings. So by wishing this, may I be happy again and again, after this negative emotion go, one can arouse very positive emotion on oneself and take again oneself as object of concentration, and in the present moment, or if one remembers memories from the past, one was happy and so forth, one can recall them and wish oneself, may I be happy, either in the present moment or a past moment memories. So one can wish oneself, may I be happy, happy. So one can arouse very happy feelings. So if one feels fulfilled with this happiness, one can also share this happiness with other people and wish, may he or she be happy, depending if you remember other people, friends, relatives, parents, whoever comes in your mind, you take them as an object in your mind and wish them, may that person be happy. So this is, in this way, we try to, it's called with this metta meditation, to remove this negative emotions, arouse positive emotions. Then when we have this positive emotion like happiness, we share this with others. So, and because we are not living alone, in this happiness, it's called, depends also how we behave towards others. And this is good to have good relationship with others by arousing very positive thoughts towards others. And if we wish others, may they be happy, it is like a tennis ball. If you take a tennis ball, you throw it on the wall, it does not stick in the wall. This tennis ball will come back to you. The same way, if we wish other people to be happy, you also feel happy, it will come back to you. And you feel also very, very, in a very good mood. And if anger and so forth comes, it can't have impact in your mind because you are full of positive thoughts. And these negative thoughts can't have impact in your mind. So therefore now, if the mind comes calm, then it is easy to practice anapanasati also. So this is in brief explanation, and we have to tell that it should be understood that metta meditation is not a mere recitation, loud or silent repetition of words. In order to succeed, metta meditation needs an object or image. In this case, it needs the image of beings. Therefore, it is beings. It's not beings means we are also beings. That is, we have to have a being in our mind, ourselves or any other when we do metta meditation, not just reciting words. Therefore, it is a friendly goodwill and wish for the welfare and happiness of all, wishing may all beings be happy. Now here we can learn that the Buddha speaks about beings, doesn't speak about anything else, just to recite words without having the object of beings in front of us. So this is a kind of brief explanation for those who want to practice metta meditation. It is very helpful. Many people see a lot of benefits, and the mind becomes easily calm, and after it becomes calm, one can practice also anapanasati meditation. Now, I will conclude the PowerPoint presentation here. So for those who want to ask some question, we'll devote at least a very brief time, because most of the people who join this, probably they're expecting to meditate. So we spend only little time for question and answers before we start meditation. Very points go on the what's called very sharp to the point regarding this practice. After the meditation, of course, we are going to have also more time for question and answers. So, and don't worry, you can ask any other questions in more in a more broad meaning after the meditation class. So now we'll devote before starting meditation. Any particular question you want to ask, you can ask by raising your hands, as we have told before. So you can go to the Zoom screen downstairs, down on the bottom with your arrow or with your finger. So and you can see there are small icons. There is a microphone. There is also a chat. In the end of there is a small icon there with a small face. It says reactions. There are two hands. You can raise a hand with a palm upwards. So there is another one which is with a thumb. That means which you agree with something. But if you raise this with a palm, it says that it shows that you want to ask something. So another way it is, if you go to the chat box, you can also type a question to the chat box for any questions. So as a last resort, if you don't know how to find these tools, you can just raise your physical hand. So there are already some questions in the chat box. So because I can't see any hands raised, I will start with a chat box. I will read questions who are very relevant to the practice. Later, of course, we have plenty of time after the meditation to ask any other relevant questions. So one question is from Tan. Bande, what do we do when thoughts and feelings arise during breathing meditation? Yes, I already mentioned if these thoughts and feelings come, so you just ignore them. But if they don't go away, you can practice the counting method. I just presented 2 counting methods. You can ask the most simple. You can start with the most simple. So, and then slowly, because there is a sequence of numbers you have to follow, these thoughts have no time to end, because you have to remember from 1 to 2 to 3 to go up to 5 and again come back, because the mind becomes busy with counting. Slowly, these thoughts disappear. So, and another thing is, if these thoughts and feelings are very strong, like the negative thoughts which persist a lot, then I also, as called, mention how to practice metta meditation to overcome them. And so then in order to, as called, to calm down the mind, after you can return to the breathing meditation. Now, another question is for Nirmani. How to make sure that I'm not developing tanha when I say, may I be happy? Now, these happy feelings arise actually, even if you practice anapanasati, there are many happy feelings. Even jhana, there are blissful feelings. You can't imagine this happiness. It is like divine happiness you can experience with jhana. But we use this kind of jhana in Theravada meditation because they produce a powerful concentration also. So, which helps for vipassana. When the mind becomes very calm, these feelings arise naturally. We don't tell them to come, they just arise naturally. So, and but the concentration they produce this kind of jhanas help us oneself to practice vipassana, to see the impermanent nature of them, not only impermanence, but to analyze the mind and body, and to understand the 5 aggregates, to understand the conditionality, paticcasamuppada, because of this high degree of concentration. The same way with metta meditation, if we wish may I be happy, we have to arouse these happy feelings. This happy feeling is when the mind got ekagata, one-pointedness. So this we want to samadhi, which also has support of happy feelings. This samadhi can be used later for vipassana meditation and also to concentrate the mind. So our aim is not to, to be only happy, but it arouses very powerful concentration. That's why the Buddha says, those who practice metta meditation, tuvartan chittan samadhiyati. It tells his mind becomes tuvartan, very quickly, samadhiyati becomes very quickly concentrated. So that is actually the result of metta meditation, because these both meditations, anapanasati and metta, are samatha meditation, can produce samatha samadhi, and is very strong concentration. So in tanha, of course, if you cling to this happy feeling, that is attachment. You crave for it to come again. That is, you may be disappointed if it does not come. So, of course, now even in anapanasati, in other samatha meditation is the same. It is not only metta meditation. But what is the point for you to have negative emotions? Because if you have negative emotions, you can't concentrate at all. If you have happy emotions, it is easy to concentrate. Therefore, this happiness, we use it as a vehicle for concentration, not to be attached to it. So even so, tanha can be removed through vipassana. Samatha is no way that you can remove tanha. To some degree, yes, but not completely. So therefore, we have to wait till you practice vipassana in order to remove this tanha completely. So with samatha, it gets reduced, it means kama tanha. First, we have to remove kama tanha. Through meditation, with samadhi, we remove kama tanha. Slowly with vipassana, we can remove bhava tanha and vibhava tanha. This is a gradual path. You can't remove tanha at once. You have to go gradually. Therefore, don't worry. If you wish, may I be happy, it's not egoistic, because first we have to clean our defilements, as called from ourselves, to clean ourselves. If we clean ourselves, then we can also utter clean words, pure words to others, so and to live with others in harmony. If our mind is defiled, we are angry, hateful, and also have jealousy. Our words are negative. We are going to tell negative words to other people, so and can cause conflict with others. In order to avoid any conflict, we must first clean our mind from negative emotions by arousing very positive emotions like happiness. So we can see how our relations can improve, will be more harmful, live in harmony with others. And this also brings peace of mind. Peace of mind brings calmness of mind. Calmness of mind brings also concentration. So if you see, it is a gradual path, a gradual way of practice. So for now, the Buddha advises how to do so in a gradually. We can't expect to remove tanha at once. So Tanchi asked a question. We're going to ask this after the meditation class, because it's something very more broad question. I will leave broad questions for after the meditation. Only I will just concentrate on questions which are very relevant to the point. So shall we ask the question? I usually start my anapanasati with metta, mindfulness, for 10 minutes. Is it correct? Yes, you can do it, because it is very useful to calm down the mind of any disturbing thoughts. After the mind becomes calm, it is easy to practice anapanasati. Metta, mindfulness. So Gina asked the question, can I play music and practice meditation? Now, if we practice especially anapanasati, we try to see the natural rhythm of the breath. This is the natural music we have in our body. So if we have another music from outside, it's artificial music. Somebody who made it or we made it, it is artificial. So with anapanasati, we try to let play the natural music of our body, which is the rhythm, the in breath, out breath. This is natural rhythm. So by concentrating on the rhythm, one can attain oneness of the mind, good concentration of the mind, and also the peaceful abiding of jhana also, which is superior of any other kama sukha, which is called sensual pleasure. So this is a kind of happiness which arises from spiritual happiness. So therefore now, if you play another music, it's artificial thing. You try to consider artificial things, which maybe give some pleasure, but it's kind of sensual pleasure. So and try to avoid any distraction, any noises around your environment, any music, any chanting and so forth. So these are just artificial voices, artificial noise. Try to concentrate on the natural rhythm of the breath. So Metasari says, I'm easily get angry and sometimes it's very hard for me to control it. Which kind of meditation is suitable for me, Anapanasati or metta meditation? Yes, metta meditation is quite okay. You can start with metta meditation. Even today you can start doing so. I explain it. I think you remember the slides which I show how to do so. You just concentrate, take yourself as an object and wish yourself may be without anger again, again, again. Concentrate upon all your body because if anger comes, affects our also nervous system. And if there are some points which are very tense in your body, you can also draw your attention to these points which are very tense. So if memories come from the past, you again take your self as an object, like episodes which happened, you remember you got angry. So you concentrate on yourself and the emotion of anger and wish yourself may be without this anger. Slowly, slowly, these will it's called be reduced because you withdraw from your mind. Don't get involved, don't get entangled with this anger. Try to remove your mind from it, not giving fuel for it. And this anger will be disappear. If it comes again, you just continue doing it. So Dittadam asked a question. In the Tipitaka, does it contain more about Anapanasati or about Brahmavihara meditation? Could you give a number of suttas? Now, it is, of course, we can discuss this after after we do the meditation, because many people, they may be waiting now with their cushions and then yoga mats to sit and meditate. So we're giving more time for them. So later on we can discuss, but I'm telling you, Anapanasati, it is what the Buddha taught, has taught many times, many suttas, but he also teaches about metta meditation. So then I can't tell you whether the suttas for Anapanasati more or metta less. So I think it is somehow similar. And this is not which suttas are more or not. We have to see which defilements are more in our minds and which are not. We have to count our defilements, and accordingly, if our defilements of anger and hate and hatred are more, we have to practice metta meditation. If our mind is calm, so you can practice anapanasati. All right. We are going now, because there are no more questions and we can't spend any more time because it might get late for some people. So then we're going to ask you how long time you want to meditate. So we are suggesting you can, it's called vote, put your vote, how long time you want to meditate. So you can just have an average understanding how much time you have available in your house. So then you can decide for the time we're going to meditate today.
In 20 seconds, we're going to stop the polling. Please vote.
All right, most of the people, they vote about 30 minutes. Now, those who have difficulty sitting 30 minutes because maybe they are beginners, they can sit less time, no problem, because you are in your house. You can decide about the time. There are no restrictions. You try to sit 30 minutes, we put the time 30 minutes, but if you have any discomfort, sitting more than, let's call that 20 minutes or like that, you can actually get up, or if you want to sit again, you can sit. Therefore, we're going to ring a bell before we start meditating. So then I will just repeat few things, basic things which we have to do before we start. You try to keep your spine erect, and try to keep quietness in your room. Noises and so forth is better to be reduced or to be completely avoided. After you sit down comfortably, either on a chair, maybe on a bed or on a cushion, or just on the ground, you bring your attention to your body and tell yourself, relax, relax, relax. I'm telling this because some people, they are very in agony to see what will happen. This is not, you are not going to a battlefield. We're going to relax and bring all attention inwards. So tell these words, it's called by giving all attention to your body. Tell yourself, relax, relax, relax 3-4 times. And after slowly bring your attention to the top, to the tip of your nose, where the air strikes the nostrils. Keep your nose parallel to the ground, so as much as possible, so that the nose will not be towards the ceiling or towards the ground. So, and then slowly try to focus on the in-breath and out-breath. If you don't feel the in-breath and out-breath, you can take some deep breaths 2-3 times to feel it. And after, just observe the natural flow of the breath. So natural flow of the breath means we don't artificially do our breath. You just leave the breath flow by itself. The only effort we do, it is a mental effort to concentrate and be mindful and aware of each in-breath and out-breath. When we breathe in, we tell mentally, in-breath, in-breath. When we breathe out, we tell mentally, out-breath. You can do this for about 5 minutes, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. After 5 minutes, just check now and see more details, whether your breath is long or short. Long means it takes some time for the in-breath to come in, and it takes some time for the out-breath to come out. If you understand this long, you mentally note long in-breath, long out-breath. You can do this for 2-3 times. Repeat these words because they are very important in the beginning to remind the mind what it has to do. So you do it for 2-3 minutes like that. And after, go to see more details regarding the whole breath. Try to observe the whole breath. And as I told you, it is good here to see the whole breath from the beginning to the end. In that case, you can use these words, beginning, end for the in-breath, beginning, end for the out-breath. So this also facilitates you to see the whole process from the beginning till the end of the in-breath and of the out-breath. So therefore, whenever you breathe in, try to see the beginning, mentally not beginning. When you see the end, mentally not end. So in the same way with out-breath, when you see when the breath strikes the nostrils, you can feel it. So then this is the beginning. When it stops striking the nostrils, that is the end. So in the same point, which is touching point, you can see the beginning and end of the breath. You mentally note beginning, end for each breath, in breath and out breath. That is just a simple method. It's not complicated. It is just we want to see more details. It is a word score. If you can't see the details, you can go to the first step again. Just see it crossly, in breath, out breath, in out breath, and then slowly, slowly go try to see more details, the beginning and end of the breath. If you go further on and see more detail, you can see even the middle. You can mental note beginning, middle, and end of the breath. So use simple words and which has direct it's called relevance to the breath. We don't use any other words which are completely irrelevant to the breath. What you feel, that is you experience. What you experience, you tell. With the words, I give you a model how to do so. This comes from the Buddha's explanations. So therefore now, that is, if other thoughts come, distracting thoughts and so forth, you can't concentrate very well. I told you how to practice counting method. Very simple. If you remember, you can use numbers from 1 to 5. In breath, out breath. In the end of the out breath, you tell 1. You go up to 5, and then you turn back to 1. And then if the thoughts still persist, you can use also this kind of repeat the number for in breath 1, out breath 1, in breath 2, out breath 2, in breath 3, out breath 3, go up to 5 and so forth, and return to 1. So this is a simple explanation. About metta meditation. We already explained about the negative emotions. I'm not going to repeat. So if this negative emotion come, you just wish yourself may be without this negative emotion by drawing our attention to yourself, especially all your body or any place of the body which are very tense. If memories come, you just go to these memories, take yourself as an object, wish yourself may be without this negative emotion, the way you name it. So, but main thing is you have to have an object yourself. With just repeating the words like a parrot, it's not going to help. So if other people come in your mind, so you can also wish other people to be without these negative emotions. Afterwards, this negative emotion go away. You can wish yourself may be happy. So to arouse these positive thoughts, and to these positive thoughts calm down the mind. It becomes more relaxed, more in harmony. So you can also wish other people to be happy. So you share this happiness with others. So if the mind becomes calm, so you can return back to Anapanasati. All right, you are going to start now. The bell is going to ring. So please, those who have the volume very high in the devices, to reduce the volume because the bell may be sound too strong. Reduce your volume. And we're going to start now by meditating 30 minutes as agreed by the most of the people. So it seems that 30 minutes pass quite quickly for some people who are familiar of meditating 1 hour or 2 hours. So 30 minutes is quite short time. But for those who are just beginners, 30 minutes is an aeon. So, all right. I hope that any questions you have, any you want to clarify. So we have time now, so you can ask any questions. I told you the way how to do so. So I can repeat for those who don't remember. If you go down in the Zoom screen, there are small icons. If you put your arrow or your finger down, there is a small icons where the microphone is, the chat, and so forth. And in the end, there is a small face which says reactions. You can click there, and there is a hand scroll, which you can raise it like that, which is a palm raised, which shows you want to ask a question. Another way it is to write something in a chat box. And if you can't achieve that, you just raise your physical hand. We might be able to answer the question. So now, because in the chat room, there were already some questions, I didn't want to answer them before we start the meditation course, because they are just of general what's called meaning. So I will go through them. There are only 2, 3 maybe. So then I will try to answer them. Yes, Tan Chi asked the question, Bande, what about internal and external contemplation as part of body anapanasati contemplation in Satipatthana Sutta? Yes, that is true. The Buddha mentioned in Satipatthana Sutta about how to observe the body internally and externally. But this, you must know that in Satipatthana Sutta, there is a samatha part of Satipatthana, there is vipassana part. So in the vipassana part, he explains how to see also the rise and fall of every phenomena. So, and also how to observe this phenomena external and internal. Regarding now in breathing, we can see how our breath contracts and expands because of the breath. All the time is the movement. If you see somebody sleeping, so you can see how his belly goes up and down, up and down. Even if we see a dog, while it is sleeping, you can see the dog's body contracts and expands when it breathes. This is how we can observe internally how our body contracts and expands because of the breath. But we can see this contraction, expansion to the body of other people also. So even if they walk, you can see that they move because of inhaling and exhaling. So because we can infer this by looking ourselves how because we inhale and exhale, we're able to make bodily movements. If our inhalation, exhalation stops, you can't move our body. It is very difficult. Even 1 minute without breath, we're going to die. So therefore, breathing is a very, vital force, which we do as a process every time. And you can observe this process not only in ourselves, but also externally. So this is in the case of Vipassana meditation, how to observe this contraction, expansion, not only in our body, but also the bodies of others, to relate that our body is not different from the bodies of others. We are not special. Many people, they think they have so much mana, this means pride about themselves, conceit about themselves, that they don't understand that actually we have no different bodies. Our body is just the same. They are all in the same process. They are also made of the same stuff. There is no difference. That's why the Buddha tells how in Satipatthana Sutta to contemplate this body and compare it with other bodies who are external, and to have this kind of knowledge. This is not the case with Anapanasati Samadhi. That's why he insists about Samadhi. When you practice Anapanasati Samadhi, we just concentrate in our breath because the aim is to attain samadhi. So while in vipassana, the aim is to attain, it is analytic knowledge by seeing the impermanence of this phenomenon. So this is how it is explained in Satipatthana Sutta, Anapanasati in samatha part, like samadhi, and also as vipassana. So Taranga asked the question, can you advise how many times you should repeat each breath stage? So we have put steps. We spoke about steps, the first step, second step, third step. Now the first step, it is, I told you to just to go ahead and do it for 5 minutes, just to see the breath in, breath out, breath grossly. And about 5 minutes, whenever you breathe in, you mentally note breath in. Whenever you breathe out, you mentally note breath out. You can do it over 5 minutes just to familiarize yourself with the breath. So after 5 minutes, you go to the second step to see whether the time of the breath, how long it lasts, whether it lasts long or short. Then if it is long, then you tell mentally long in breath, long out breath. If it is short, you can tell short in breath, short out breath. So you can do it for 2-3 minutes to see these details of the breath, and you go to that step to see more details. So, and to see the whole breath. That means from the beginning till the end. This you can do for the whole period of meditation, but if you can't see the beginning or the end and so forth, you just go back to the first step and see it grossly. In breath, out breath, in breath, slowly, slowly try to see the beginning till the end of the breath, in breath and so forth. So these are the 3 steps. So Rusmavati asked the question, can I recite the Buddha's name while in meditation? So now if we practice Anapanasati, of course, we try to concentrate on the breath because this is the advice of the Buddha. We don't mention the Buddha's name, but we practice what the Buddha taught. So, and this is, and he explained Anapanasati in many suttas. So, and he praised Anapanasati, how to watch the breath. That's why in this sutta, we just try to present it, how he tells to breathe the breath. If one knows in breath, it's called out breath and so forth, to mentally note it. And we explain the 3 steps. Therefore, now if you use other words, of course, you can't get samadhi for Anapanasati. In that case, now you're practicing Buddhanusati. Buddhanusati is different meditation. Subject, they have also Dhammanusati. If you reflect on the qualities of the Dhamma, this Dhammanusati. If you practice, reflect on the qualities of the Sangha, you practice Sanghanusati. But if you reflect on the breath, then it is called Anapanasati. So, and therefore now it is good not to mix this meditation together because the aim is just to attain Samadhi, and Samadhi can be achieved if we concentrate repeatedly on the same object. And the breath is very easy to contemplate because it repeats by itself. We don't need to make it. We don't need to force ourselves to make the breath. It is naturally occurring, and for many people it's easy to follow. They don't need to make any physical effort, to visualize anything. It is there. It is naturally there. And because it's repeated, it's very easy to follow. So in that case now, we don't need to repeat any other names, just to see the breath as it occurs and to name it within our experience. In the words the Buddha used, it's very simple. In breath, out breath, and so forth, what is long, short, and to see the whole breath, the way he explains. Is regarding the breath is the words we should repeat. So Kah Fui asked the question, does the hand palm posture really is important, or it will be as natural as possible to the meditator. So the palm posture should be, as I explained, the hands should be relaxed as much as possible. You can put them in any way you like. Just put them relaxed on your lap, on your on the thighs, so that you don't feel the weight. While you relax the hands, we don't try to feel the weight. If we lift them up and so forth, you can't keep these hands like that for a long time after it gets tired. We put them in a position, they don't get tired. So you don't feel them, you don't feel the weight. So therefore now, whether you put different mudras and so forth is up to you. But after you concentrate on the breath for a long time, then you lose the perception of the body. So, and only the breath remains in front of you. Forget about the body. So therefore now, whether your hands are in mudra or in this position, the other position, it doesn't matter. So main thing is you don't put them in such position, becomes a disturbance. So ultimately you have to be occupied with the hands rather than the breath. You put in a position, you don't feel the hands. Means in a very comfortable position, a relaxed position on your lap. So whether you put the palms up or the palms down, main thing is relaxed. So, and you can put him just one upon another. Some people, if they put up one upon another, sometimes if it is hot in the room, then you can feel your hands sweating. So they feel uncomfortable. So that's why some people, they prefer to separate the hands, put them separately on the lap, so they don't sweat. And these are small things just for practical reasons. It's not to serve any ceremony. Some people, they try to make ceremony with their hands. Nothing ceremony is there. So we try to just put the hands in a comfortable position. They don't become a disturbance during concentration on the breath. And all the attention is on the breath. So now regarding Ditta Dhamma, he asked the question about the Tripitaka. Does it contain more about Anapanasati or more about Brahma Vihari? That means metta meditation. Could you give us a number of suttas discussing about Anapanasati versus the one discussing about Brahma Vihari? From discussion with friends that studying sutta, they claimed in Tipitaka the Buddha mentioned more about Brahma Vihari than Anapanasati methods. Could you agree, disagree? Kindly comment. For example, in Anguttara Nikaya, it is mentioned highly importance of development of metta to the monk, even as short as pulling a cow udder, this milking process. Now, regarding the suttas, which is more or not, so I can't give you the numbers as well. I did not count the numbers. But if you want to see which is more or not, I will suggest you go in Sanyutta Nikaya. There is a chapter there which is called Anapanasati Sanyutta. This means the connected discourse about Anapanasati. And there are a lot of suttas about Anapanasati in one compilation. But there is nowhere Metta Sanyutta. And it's a compilation of Metta Suttas. So, and from this we can see that at least Anapanasati is given more prominence by the Buddha because all the suttas has been compiled together and he praises Anapanasati a lot. Of course, now that does not mean he also neglected to mention about Metta Sutta. Of course, he mentioned about Metta, how to practice Metta. These suttas are scattered sometimes. Most of them, they are in Anguttara Nikaya, sometimes in Sanyutta Nikaya, but there is no any compilation like Anapanasati. So there is not any Sanyutta which is called Metta Sanyutta. So Anapanasati Sanyutta there. In Majjhima Nikaya, you have Anapanasati suttas like Satipatthana Sutta, especially it's called Anapanasati, which is quite long sutta. And Digha Nikaya also Satipatthana Sutta means of Anapanasati. So therefore now, whatever the case is, what I want to tell you, it is that we have not to count the suttas what the Buddha taught, we have to count our defilements. Now, if our defilements are full of anger and hate and and so forth, then we have to practice metta meditation. Whether the suttas of metta are less than anapanasati, it doesn't matter. Our defilements are more. So if our defilements are more, we have to concentrate on metta meditation, how to overcome these defilements of hatred and negative emotions. That's why today I also mentioned about metta meditation. So for those who have this problem with negative thoughts. Other people have a problem with other, it's called distracting thoughts and so forth. So they can practice some anapanasati, so to calm them down. Anapanasati sometimes helps a lot for that. But if one has anger and hate and hatred in one's own mind, that is impossible. Therefore now in that case, the Buddha also advised for those who have this problem to practice metta meditation. Whether the suttas are more or less doesn't matter. Main thing is the method is there. The method is there, and some people, they can use this method. You have to see according to our mind, mental states. If the mental states are full of hatred and anger and so forth, then we don't have to count how many suttas the Buddha told. If there are 20 suttas anapanasati, there are 15 suttas metta, that means metta is not important. No, that doesn't mean anything. So we have to purify our mind from this anger and and hate and any other kind of negative emotions. So therefore now I will, from the practical point of view, that is irrelevant to count how many suttas anapanasati there or how many suttas metta. I'm telling you there are quite a lot. So probably anapanasati there are 30 suttas, and maybe metta sutta maybe 25 or maybe 20, or the other way around. What is the difference? So we have to see from the practical point of view, what is more prevalent mental state in our mind, so that accordingly we can practice. So, but anyway, if you want to look about Anapanasati, you can have a look in Anapanasati Samyutta. You may remember the name, you call Samyutta Nikaya, and you can see in the end of the Mahavagga, the big chapter of Samyutta Nikaya, there is also on Sutta, on Samyutta, it's called Anapanasati Samyutta. Suchin asked the question, what shall I do if I feel tightness around the jaw? So now if we practice Anapanasati, usually we ignore any thoughts and feelings which arouse. And in that case now try to concentrate more on the breath, on the natural flow of the breath. If you start Anapanasati especially and support, as I told you, try to tell yourself, relax, relax, relax before you start, and give all attention to your body. And after, slowly, slowly draw your attention to the breath and try to repeat these words. If you feel in-breath, you tell in-breath. If you feel out-breath, tell out-breath. Repeat these words. Or if you can count, use the counting method. And slowly, slowly, this tightness of the jaw will drop down. So this is a tendency of people who, if they sit straight sometimes because of the neck, they might feel some tightness on the jaw, some on the tightness of the neck. Can be naturally coming, but also because of some people, they think now if they start meditating, they are going to a battlefield. So not like that, because meditation is just for calm down. And as soon as possible, try to tell yourself, relax, relax if you feel some tightness in the body, and try to concentrate on the breath. So otherwise, if you practice Vipassana meditation, you can also practice Vedananupasana, observation of the feeling, and see how this tightness, it just stays for some times, and after he goes, he might come again. And then slowly, slowly, the mind will be not too much affected by it. So Jandi asked the question, can we swallow saliva during meditation? Okay, if it comes naturally, you have to, yes, it is no problem, you can swallow the saliva. So because it's a natural process, the body needs it, it does it by itself, you just leave it as a natural process to swallow the saliva. So then Gaya Shani says, I used to get headaches, eye pains after trying Anapanasati. Is it because I have done it the wrong way? So probably because some people, they try to strain the eyes if they look at the breath. But as I told you, there is nothing to see there. Don't strain your eyes. Just concentrate on the sensation. Try to feel the breath. This is a vital force in our life because our life depends on the breath a lot. Try to feel the breath. This is your life. Okay, so then you have to think like that. And to feel it, try to see the movement of the breath, how it goes in and out, and try to use these words, as I told you. So if distracting thoughts come, you can also try the counting method because people found it also very useful. And the more you concentrate on the breath, the more you feel any tightness of the body disappear. So, and the more concentration increases, the more you lose the perception of the body. There is a moment when this body completely disappears from your perception. So as if the body does not exist. You are just have only the breath in front of you. And some people, they feel like flying on the clouds. So they feel the body so light. Or they feel so light as if they have no body. Therefore, now all these kind of pains, not only on the head, on the eyes, and so forth, but also in the body, they also disappear due to the powerful concentration. Therefore, ignore all these kind of headaches and eye pains if they are coming. Try to feel the breath, try to concentrate on the in and out breath the way explained, but you have to use certain words. If you don't use these words, the mind does not know what to do. Ultimately, it goes to its daily thinking and so forth and brings all the negative thoughts. Tanchi Chong asked the question, this has such a peaceful effect, but what if it becomes an escape method? What line do we draw in order not to make it a way not to deal with our troubles? Now, our troubles comes because of this, they are called some mental hindrances. Mental hindrances are lust, it means sensual desire, anger, and sleepiness, and restlessness, and skeptical doubt. These are mental hindrances. With Anapanasati, because the mind attains a high degree of concentration, slowly, these mental hindrances become less and less and less, they get reduced. Therefore, if our troubles come from these mental hindrances, because we have a lot of desires, we have a lot of anger and so forth. Therefore, Anapanasati is not escape of these problems. Actually, the overcoming of these problems. So that's why if one wants to overcome these 5 hindrances, Anapanasati is one way. So another way it is now, for example, if one of these hindrances are very strong, like anger is very strong, so it is difficult with Anapanasati. So in that case, one can use this metta meditation to overcome this hindrance. Therefore, for each hindrance, the Buddha also teaches a separate meditation. Now, for example, for anger, he teaches metta meditation, but for lust, he teaches the Asubha meditation. So, and for sleepiness, he teaches another meditation. If some people, they try to meditate, they feel sleepy. So that becomes a trouble and so forth. Even if while they are walking, they feel sleepy. They are lethargic. In order to overcome this lethargy, there is another kind of meditation, how to overcome lethargy. About restlessness of the mind, about doubt. There are also certain other meditations which can help to overcome these gross hindrances. So anapanasati, of course, it is for those who don't have these hindrances very grossly. They have in a moderate way. Therefore, they can easily overcome it with anapanasati. But those who have in a very strong way, they have to use a different kind of meditation and specify specifically at a target that very hindrance. Now, for example, if it's anger, we have to target it and go and so forth in order to overcome it. So if it is lust, we have to target it and to use another meditation subject in order to overcome, to reduce it. So if this hindrance gets reduced, the mind becomes calm, they're in a moderate way, so it is easy to practice anapanasati and reduce them even more. So if everything is now, our troubles come from these 5 hindrances. If we have strong desires, we get disappointed if we don't get them. If we have anger, of course, you come conflict with ourselves, with others. If we are very lethargic, we become negligent, we can't do our work properly. If our mind becomes restless, stress builds up and so forth, we have psychological problems. So if we have all the time doubt and so forth, this is delusion. You can be deluded, so you can't make decisions in our life. So these are the troubles from where they it's called this mental hindrances, from where our troubles come. And meditation is, the aim is to overcome this. And many people saw a lot of benefits in their life because of meditation, because the mind becomes very focused, very concentrated, the scattered mind, fragmented mind, ultimately becomes unified, and they can concentrate. Even if they read a book, they can absorb all this information in the book without any distracting words. They can learn very easily what they study. So because the mind can focus in one page for a long time, 2 pages, they can finish the whole book and remember it. Don't forget it, which was not the case before. Before they would read 1 page, 2 pages, they could get tired, they can't remember, so they forget. But after meditating, memory increases, concentration increases. They can actually, the mind becomes very sharp. So therefore, it is not, meditation is not the escape from our troubles. It actually addresses our troubles, but in a way, in a smooth way, not to fight them, but just to overcome them. So Sandoni says, after 5-6 minutes, I couldn't consider about natural breath. I started to do it forcefully and some disturbing feelings came up all over the session. How to keep doing natural breathing? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So in order to do natural breathing, you can actually try to feel the breath. Feel the breath and try to see the sensation which arises in the tip of your nose. If you don't feel it, you can at least 2-3 times breathe deeply to feel it. And after, try to see slowly how it, you exhale and exhale. So counting method is also very, very useful for many people. If you try counting the breath, you try to count 1, 2, 3, and so forth, up to 5. And you try to see when you breathe in, when you breathe out, according to that, you put the numbers. So then ultimately you starting remembering about the numbers. And you don't try to regulate the breath because the number has to correspond to each breath and the natural breath. So then that is one way. But some people who, for example, already have some disturbing thoughts and so forth, and they can practice metta meditation to calm down the mind first, and after they can practice anapanasati. But I'm telling you, try with this counting method. Probably it will help you to do so, or try this to feel the breath. Try to understand the sensation which arise around the breath, or see the movement of the breath. Slowly, slowly. You have to do it patiently. You don't force yourself, because this is not to, as called, to produce more stress in ourselves. This is just to relax and see the natural flow of the breath. So if you can't succeed, I'm telling you, you can also count the breath and see. It might work. So Henry asked the question, is it normal when I feel tightness on the forehead between the eyes while concentrating to observe the breath that becomes more calmer? So yes, some people, they might feel this tightness, but I'm telling you, it is that you don't try to see the breath, don't try to strain your eyes to see anything in the breath. So, because nothing to see there. Try to concentrate only on the feeling, on the sensation when the breath strikes the nostrils, or just to concentrate on the movement, natural movement of the breath. So if you can't do so, you can use the counting method. And slowly, slowly, the more you concentrate, the more this tightness will go. So if you don't use your eyes, you don't strain yourself, this tightness will go away. So, and you feel your head completely empty. Empty means in the sense there is no more sensation there. The sensation remains only in the breath inside the nostrils, and that sensation becomes more and more prominent. Once that becomes prominent, the sensation of the forehead and the eyes disappears. So Adeline asked the question, at the beginning of meditation, I can follow the breathing in and out, and the mind feels calm. After about 5 minutes, a person came into the mind and I feel agitated. What should I do? Let it go and continue with the breathing in and out. So if that agitation in the mind because of that person lasts long, it means you have difficulty going to the breath again and again, you must know it's called what kind of agitation is. If it is due to anger, due to any antipathy towards that person. So that's why actually it must be some antipathy, some aversion towards that person. That's why you probably get this mind agitated. So identify this negative emotion you have towards that person. Can be jealousy, can be fear. So, and then if that emotion persists, you can practice metta meditation the way I explained. You might remember the PowerPoint presentation. So try to take yourself as an object and wish yourself may be without this emotion, negative emotion. First, you have to identify what that emotion is. So, and then wish yourself may be without emotion. By doing so, you withdraw your mind from that emotion. Don't give full fuel to that emotion, and ultimately that emotion disappears, and then you can continue with Anapanasati if you like. Jandi asked the question, during meditation, while observing the breath, someone opened the door. I felt a big shock and heart beating fast. Is this normal, or is it because I almost fell asleep? So it can be normal because some people, they expect, for example, to concentrate. And while they're concentrating, if there is some sudden sound, so the mind is still not well concentrated, so then they feel this kind of shock. So, but most probably, if you fell asleep, if it becomes even worse, means you might have a heart beating fast. So because you become absent-minded, and suddenly some comes in the room and you get shocked. What I'm, who is doing this and so forth. So therefore now you can check if it happens again. So then you can check whether you fall asleep or not. But it is quite normal. I'm telling you, even people who meditate, they have not reached a kind of high degree of concentration. They might be able to feel this kind of shocks. Yes, Gaya Shani tells, I use the counting method and it was very helpful. Yes, many people find it helpful, especially you are living in an environment if you have many, many things to think all the time. So, and you sit and you try to concentrate on the breath. It is difficult because you have so many restless thoughts. And counting method is called counteract these thoughts because you have to remember the numbers now. And especially those who are good in arithmetic and mathematics, this is very useful method because, and actually you don't have to count a lot up to 5, but what makes the mind stick to the breath is because you have to remember, the sequence of the numbers. In this way, so then you bring the mind back again and again to the breath. So, which is helpful. So, Tan asked the question, will we be doing the analytical part of Anapanasati with contemplating the 4 foundations of mindfulness? So for the time being, there is no such plan. We try to start this program. We start this program just today. And if it goes well, we will consider to practice also to teach about the 4 foundations of mindfulness, Satipatthana Sutta, in some way in the future. Still, there is not in our plan, but we'll see how it evolves. So, Edlin asked the question, for noticing breathing in and out at the tip of the nose, I also notice the rise and fall of my stomach. Is this normal? Sometimes, okay, it is not a bad thing, but as I told you, if one notices the breath in other parts of the body, it is one notices the wind element which goes inside the body. And in that case, it is a kind of elements meditation. It's not anapanasati. So we try to bring it back again and again to the parimukha, as I told you. This is around the nose, and to get ekagata, one point of the mind, not to move it back and forward. That's why the Buddha used the verb establish one's attention to the parimukha. Establish means not to move one's attention back and forth. So, but if occasionally your attention goes to the belly, no problem. You can slowly bring it back. So make the effort. It is an effort. Slowly, and after that, the mind knows how to go. you have to make the mental effort to bring it back to the tip of the nose, or the strikes the nostrils. So Sandy asked the question, should I further my meditation and ignore the pain I experience in my stomach? Because it's sometimes very hard as the pain is quite strong. So now with this Anapanasati meditation, of course, if somebody has some ailment with the stomach, it is better to take some medication, to do some treatment, because this kind can be disturbing if it is so strong. So any other ailments, of course, one has to treat them with some medication. It is quite useful. Even the Buddha advises monks how to take medicines in order if they have certain ailments. So this medicine facilitate our what's called smooth meditation, to have a smooth meditation. But if it is something you can ignore, you can, the more you concentrate on the breath, slowly, the sensations, the mind ignores them, and one is able to concentrate on the breath. So you can try both methods. I'm telling you, try to concentrate as much as possible to the breath by ignoring the sensation. But if it is so strong, you better know to take some treatment, some medical treatment, to avoid this kind of pain coming again and again in the body. So Dittadhamma has asked the question. It says, while doing meditation by using contemplation or meditation object, it is mentioned when the mind gladdens, it leads to calmness. Then the mind which is calm, it leads towards concentration. A concentrated mind leads to knowledge, this knowledge towards liberation. How do we gladden the mind? To be always with the object of meditation, or forcefully the mind like someone drag the white rebellious child to behave, clenching the teeth, pushing the tongue on your palate. To gladden the mind, do you think that we need to find the most suitable meditation subject that suits us? Which meditation object, which you recommend we try out various types of meditation sub-objects? How do you know which object meditation is suitable for us, or not just focus only to Anapanasati? For some meditation object, as the concentration goes deeper, the nimitta becomes clear. But for the Anapanasati, as it goes deeper, the breath in fact disappears. Would you agree with this kind of disadvantage for Anapanasati? So there are 7 questions here, how to gladden the mind. So some people, if they just host the breath, now, for example, one lady, she told while counting the breath, it was so wonderful. So she felt gladness. So it came naturally to her because this meditation subject agreed with her. That means she could concentrate. And gladness comes through concentration because, as I told you, and the mind unifies, the scattered mind, fragmented mind becomes concentrated, in one point gets unified, then naturally this gladness comes. But some people, they can concentrate on the Anapanasati easily. Some, of course, they can't because these have some hindrances, mental hindrances. And I told you this kind of kama chanda, it is our sensual desires. They have strong sensual desires. So, and they can't concentrate with anapanasati because the sensual desire is strong. So, and they can't feel gladness because the concentration can't be achieved. For that, they can practice asubha meditation to overcome this, as called this kind of last sensual desire. So, and some people, if they practice anapanasati, they can't concentrate because their mind is full of negative thoughts. So, of anger, of hate, of hatred, jealousy, and sorrow, and frustration, and stress. So, they should identify these strong emotions and try to practice mental meditation to overcome them. So, then they feel gladness. And as told you, if these negative emotions go away, one can wish oneself to be happy again and again, arouse these happy feelings, and to share these happy feelings with others. Then one can see this gladness comes, this happiness comes, and the mind can easily concentrate and get liberated also from these negative emotions. So therefore now we have to use also a meditation subject which suits you to see first what of these 5 mental hindrances are more prominent in you. What is this which hinders you, makes an obstacle to you, obstructs you to attain concentration? If it is a sensual desire, like lust, if it is anger, sometimes if it is sleepiness, it means you become very lethargic, you have to overcome sleepiness, lethargy. So if the mind is restless, how to calm down the mind with anapanasati. And if it is a lot of doubt, to clarify this doubt in order to progress in one's own practice. So therefore now this gladness of the mind, it depends on how these 5 hindrances are strong or not strong in oneself. In order to overcome it, there are antidotes. So, and I told you how some examples, how to choose a suitable meditation subject according to the mental hindrance which is prominent in oneself. Only then gladness will occur and the mind becomes calm and will lead to concentration. Concentration will lead to knowledge and knowledge towards liberation. So that is one question to the answer, an answer to the question. And then it says, the second question is, for some meditation object, as the concentration goes deeper, the nimitta becomes clearer. But for the anapanasati, as it goes deeper, the breath, in fact, disappears. Would you agree this is a kind of disadvantage for anapanasati? No, it is not disadvantage. Because as the Buddha says, I read the 4th step, even if the mind becomes tranquil and the breath becomes also very calm, and sometimes it seems that disappears, one should stay and observe it. Don't give it up. Some people, they find some small difficulty, they think, oh, my breath is no more there. The breath is always there. The breath never disappears. We must know that. Except if we go under the water, then we can't breathe. The breath has to stop because we can't inhale water. But while meditating in our room, we are not under the water. The body does not stop breathing. Otherwise, we are dead. The body continues breathing, but our mindfulness is weak. We have to strengthen our mindfulness. And anapanasati reminds us how to strengthen our mindfulness to be more sharp. So therefore, that's why some meditators prefer anapanasati, because easily to check the mindfulness whether it's strong or not. So therefore now it is a disadvantage if one does not the technique. If one knows the technique, it's not a disadvantage. One can proceed with anapanasati very easily. The breath does not disappear. It is mindfulness becomes weak. Therefore, one has to strengthen one's mindfulness. All right, I don't see any question in the chat box. So,
Bante,
yes.
Perhaps this gentleman or lady, I don't know, Dita Gama, who asked this question, wanted to say what happens in Anapanasati when the breath stops in deep concentration. That's what I think. Maybe she mentions in a deep, very deep concentration. Maybe the breath stops for a while, half a minute or 1 minute. Maybe that is the. This is maybe she means or he means this.
Yes, but I explained this. No, I explained even if he says for some meditation object the concentration goes deeper, the nimitta becomes clear. But for Anapanasati, it goes deeper. The breath, in fact, disappears. If the concentration goes deeper, the breath is called. But yes, so even before the nimittas appear, sometimes the breath becomes unclear for some meditators, becomes so tranquil and serene. If the mindfulness is called weak, one thinks that the breath disappears, but it does not disappear. So I explain also if nimitta comes, the strong light appears. So sometimes for about 30 minutes, the breath stops, does not disappear. It just temporarily gets suspended because the mind becomes so calm and the body does not need oxygen so more. So in that case now, I told that one has to look to the light, to the nimitta, and wait till the breath returns. By looking to the nimitta, the concentration does not drop. And then if the breath returns, one has to return to the breath. So by doing so back and forth, whenever the breath is absent, maybe for 30 minutes, sometimes 30 seconds, about 30 seconds, let's see, about 15 seconds, sometimes it stops. So you just wait and look to the light, then you will return. So, but it does not disappear, that is wrong. So only that it stops temporarily in that very high concentration. Now, another thing is that the breath completely disappears, that is in the real sense of the word, in the fourth jhana. In the fourth jhana, it is when it disappears. But then the meditator can stay without breath in the fourth jhana for hours and hours and hours, without any disturbance. So that is the case and so forth. He does not need the breath anymore. He concentrates actually on the nimitta, which is produced by this anapanasati. So therefore, in the fourth jhana, only the breath stops for a long time, for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes even longer. So in that case, now it is not a disadvantage for anapanasati. The Buddha praised anapanasati in many suttas. He used actually anapanasati as a basis for his enlightenment. This is how the Buddha started, with anapanasati. If it was a disadvantage, he would have not praised anapanasati so much. It is the technique. One must know the technique how to overcome small difficulties if it disappears. Even in other meditations, one may get disappointed if one does not the technique properly. So one may see disadvantages where actually it is easy to overcome them. Okay, so then I don't think there are any more questions. No hands are raised. Today we may conclude our session. And next Sunday, there is a same time we are going to conduct this class. For those who want to join, they are welcome. So if you have any question, you can ask also next Sunday. So then.
And please feel free to send this email to your friends if you feel that they can benefit from those teachings, from these teachings. Please send to your friends the email with a link to register, and they will be welcome to participate. So if nothing more, I will unmute everybody. So we say bye-bye in our language. Γεια σας.
Thank you, Bante. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.
So I wish you all the best. Stay healthy and safe, especially in this time where everybody is behind doors. So wish you all the best and good progress in your meditation. So you can unmute everybody if they like.
They are unmuted.
Okay.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Bante. Anumodana, Bante.
Thank you, Bante.
Anumodana.
Okay. Yes, we will send the video recording to everybody in your email, a link, next week.
Μιχάλη, πες τους ότι είναι και στο Facebook.
Also, this recording is on Facebook. This session was already on Facebook, in our page in Facebook.